I'm blue, I've been deed, I've been died, 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 I've been deed, I've been died. I'm blue, I've been deed, I've been died, 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 I've been deed, I've been died.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I'm your host, Adam Portress, and joining me today, he was just hoping somebody would Joe Pesci that Spider Kid, Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet.
You're not wrong about that. And also, don't believe your parents when they tell you that music used to be better. Just listening to that opening song.
And he was so excited. He thought Jason Momoa was going to be in this movie. Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, the same as last time, only a little bit greener.
Oh, we're all green with envy if you've got to go out to the theater and actually be able to sit in there, because I don't know what it was like for you boys. It was jam-packed like a sardine can up in mine.
We had a very sparse crowd, but we saw it Saturday night, not Friday.
Yeah, me as well. It was not busy.
Oof. Well, the box office says it was busy enough to win over the weekend, and will it be the next biggest giant feature film of all time? Were we all so smart to wait 12 years for this sequel? We'll see. We'll see about all of it.
Has anybody ever told James Cameron that every movie you make doesn't have to be the most expensive movie ever made?
No, but it does. No, but it do. He does.
I've got a theory that James Cameron is basically just Neil Breen with money.
His laptops actually work, that James Cameron.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
We'll see what happens when you give an old man a whole bunch of money and 8 bajillion years worth of time. What happens? But before we do all that, we do want to say a giant thank you to the people that support us over at patreon.com/HMP. Those awesome people get pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone. And on this week's Dinger Zone, we talk all about the DC shakeup. Holy moly, so much things going on with James Gunn's in, Henry Cavill is out. Oh, it's cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. But we're talking about that over at the Dinger Zone. And you could be like our new producer, Marty B., who's come in at that $5 level. Sean, what do we got for Marty this week?
No, we're going to stray from what we said we would start doing from this point forward, which is not bring up the person's last name. But when your last name is Bills, it's impossible not to bring that up. Your name is Marty Bills. You have the potential to have one of the greatest nicknames of all time.
Just
when your last name
hustler,
is Bills.
Anything. There's so many ways it can go.
Well, you got to go with the Wu-Tang when it comes to your last name being Bills. Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bills, y'all. So, Marty Bills, your HMP nickname from this point forward is the Wu-Tang.
Wow, that's a big one.
It's big.
That is impressive. Congratulations, Mr. Wu-Tang.
Oh, man. Put that on a business card and give it out to every person you know. That's
I used to be called Young MC, but now they just call me MC.
Now they just call me a Grandpa MC. That's what he does. If you would like to be like the Wu-Tang, oh, man, what a great
But
statement.
you're still wishing that someone could cure your lonely condition.
On a mission.
Head on down to patreon.com/HMP. Support this here program, and we really appreciate it. And big shout outs coming to you guys all in the new year here and everything. And we'll talk about what I want from you, because not only are you guys helping support the show, you're helping kind of create some content and stuff as well. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. But let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is the trailer for Avatar: The Way of Water.
Dad, I know you think I'm crazy.
Have to lie in those big rocks.
But I feel her. I hear her heartbeat. She's so close.
like?
Mighty.
We cannot let you bring your war here.
Outcast. That's all they see.
I see you.
The way of water connects all things. Before your birth and after your death.
This is our home!
I need you with me. And I need you to be strong. Strongheart.
Alrighty, that was the trailer for Avatar: The Way of Water. You know what time it is.
It's time for Bruce's Comic Book Connection.
Oh, Bruce, what do we got?
In order to control myself, I must first accept myself by going with and not against my nature. That's a quote from one Bruce Lee, who thought that the way to be successful in life and in your kung fu combats is to be like water and to follow the way of water, because nothing is weaker than water. But when it attacks something hard or resistant, then nothing withstands it and nothing will alter its way. The rivers and seas are lords of 100 valleys. This is because their strength is in lowliness. They are kings of them all. So it is that perfect master wishing to lead them, he follows. Thus, though he is above them, he follows. Thus, though he is above them, men do not feel him to be an injury. And since he will not strive, none strive with him. And water finds a solution to a problem without force or conflict and teaches us to work in harmony with our environment instead of against it. So openness is the key here. And instead of, fighting against change or putting up a fight against change, maybe we are a little open-minded to it. And those are all quotes that I found that weren't related to Avatar when I searched for The Way of Water. And there's no comic book, so I give you guys a little philosophy.
Your best one yet.
None of those were quotes written by me.
Well, if that wasn't enough, let me sell everybody on this over decade in the making sequel, because this sucker's got everything. We open up with an hour-long last time on Avatar, and that's only kind of a joke. We got Jake Sully now with 5,000% more acting. Neytiri is back, and she doesn't have to carry the whole movie this time. Characters you thought were dead, not in a James Cameron movie, baby. Bing, bang, boom. Sigourney Weaver and Stephen Lang aren't dead, and they've both decided to act this time around, which was nice. But if you thought James Cameron turned a new leaf and is only directing good acting, how wrong you were. Edie Falco comes in the most embarrassing role of her career. Sheesh.
And that's saying something if you're familiar with her filmography.
My God. But never you mind that. We got soaring through the eye on sky dragon birds. We got swimming through the ocean on dragonfish. We got catfish whales with tribal tattoos. Okay, sure. Crazy sea lives, kids being kids, mech suits, spider robots, which oddly the kid named Spider never pilots. Oh, yeah, there's a white kid named Spider who has dreadlocks and is the progeny of Stephen Lang's character from the first movie, who is now in the body of an avatar from a convicted felon, or some such nonsense that James Cameron came up. You expected at this point, though. Kate Winslet still looking kind of hot as a fish lady. I think I might have a problem. We've got Earth, Fire, Wind, Water. That's right. This counts as a Captain Planet episode and community service. You've spent nearly 3.5 hours with this movie and walk away with, well, we'll see. This movie has everything, or does it?
That was great, Adam. That was
Good job.
great.
Brava.
Thank you. Let's talk
So
about
where
the
do we
first
start?
Avatar. Let's talk about the
Yeah.
first Avatar movie and our kind of thoughts on it, because it was quite some time ago at this point. Do you guys
Question-
remember it at all?
Yeah, I was going to say question number one, roundtable style. When is the last time that we've seen Avatar? Because for me, it's been like since it was in theaters.
Me too.
I had watched it. I think I watched it at least twice in the theater, maybe a third time. It's one of those that like episode 1, you kind of kept going back to, going, am I missing something? Is something going on? Like, I feel like I should, like, I liked it well enough, but it wasn't like, I wasn't seeing what everyone else kind of saw. And then, I bought it on Blu-ray, watched it maybe once or twice on Blu-ray, maybe. But then recently, just before this, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I watched an hour of Avatar every night leading up to this new movie. Because I had to try to remember what this movie was about and all the characters and whatnot, but you didn't have to.
You're right. You didn't have to, because they're going to do a good job of reminding you of what's important. I did remember Stephen Lang, but mainly because I remembered his campaign to be Cable, like more than I remembered him in Avatar. But I was like, who is that guy? Oh, he's the guy from Avatar. That's how I knew the Stephen Lang.
Okay,
And,
now hold on, real quick. Looking back, just on account of Stephen Lang as Cable or Josh Brolin as Cable.
Well, if the choice is Stephen Lang or Josh Brolin, I have to go with Brolin just because it's a different kind of actor altogether. But Stephen Lang versus a whole lot of other people, I would definitely pick Stephen
You can
Lang.
say good. It's okay. We're on a podcast.
Yeah.
No one's listening. You can say he's a better actor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to kind of get reaccustomed with this whole Avatar thing to try to remember what was it, but you don't necessarily need to. But man, I got to admit to you, rewatching that movie did not instill a lot of hope for this go around.
Okay, yeah. Now I want to tell you, I remember liking Avatar like the way you like angel food cake when you're a kid. It's like, man, this angel food cake is good. But it's also good because it's the only like sweet thing you happen to have in the house that weekend. You know what I mean? Like I really enjoyed Avatar, but it was in one eye and out the other. You know, like you see it and then that's it. I wasn't crying for more lore or a whole franchise to be built. And the only reason that I think my opinion of it faded as time went on is because there was just better franchise stuff coming out. And I think that it really benefited a lot from James Cameron's technical improvements in 3D, but then that doesn't have its appeal now, you know, because you could only see something for the first time once.
Yeah. I remember seeing the movie. It wasn't something that I thought like, wow, that's pretty great. You know, like most people who weren't children when this movie came out. You know, I saw it and I was like, you know, this reminds me just too much of Dances with Wolves. Like it really felt like that.
Oh, absolutely. Dances with Space Wolves is what people are calling it.
Right. And, you know,
If you're of my generation, Fern Gully. That also
Ooh, I like the
comes
Fern
into
Gully.
play
There you
because
go.
it was very much like we're killing the tree and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, Pocahontas, Fern Gully, all that.
But the positive things about it were, oh, he's built out something original and new here, which we were even screaming about 10 years ago. Well, how come there's no originality in movies anymore? I mean, that's something that's been happening for the last 40 years. And, you know, he had something new and something different. And for that, you know, like he should be lauded for that. And he was. And it's one of those things too, where like, for me, there was nothing to hold on to. I basically only remembered Stephen Lang in the mech suit that looked remarkably like Ripley's mech suit from Aliens.
Yeah.
And the fact that the main actor of this movie had one of the worst American accents I had heard in a major motion picture.
I'm assuming you're not talking about Sigourney Weaver there.
Well, no.
Here's the thing, though, not for nothing. Sigourney Weaver just sleepwalked through that first movie. At least
She sure did.
In this movie,
You know
at
what?
least
She had every
she's
right
acting.
to. I'll be honest. She had every right to.
Yeah, she wasn't doing anything.
I swear to you, she was just like, listen, James, I will do this role, but I am allowed to smoke cigarettes on screen. And like there's no reason that character in this weird futuristic setting would like get right out of like a cryopod and ask for a cigarette outside of Sigourney Weaver's just like, bro, I just need a smoke while I'm working. Can you just make it happen and then write it down?
And you know, having Sigourney Weaver in the movie makes me think, okay, James Cameron, maybe he's doing like, this is a reflection on my greatest hits. So we got the aliens mechs. We definitely got references to aliens. We have a boat taking forever to sink with people on board it. So we got a little Titanic there.
Yeah.
So there was part of me that was really waiting for Stephen Lang's character to switch sides and become a hero. And Spider was going to be like the what was that kid's name from Terminator 2?
Eddie Furlong?
Yeah, he was going to be like the Eddie Furlong, and suddenly Stephen Lang's clone was going to be like the Terminator 2 version of the Terminator. But that didn't quite happen.
Not quite.
It would have been cool if it did. It'd be like, hey, James Cameron, you'd be a lot cooler if you did.
Here's the James Cameron himself said, listen, if I'm going to rip off anybody, I'm going to rip off the best. Exactly.
And ultimately watching Avatar had been the second and seeing people's response to that movie. It's the second time in my life where I felt like I was taking crazy pills, where it was like everyone thinks this movie is amazing except for me, apparently. Like it's not that I hated it.
It's like one of the rides at Universal Studios or Disney. It's like, you know, the ride, some rides have a better story than others, but it's all about the experience, the visual experience. You're seeing, you know, like the Harry Potter ride, people love it, but it's not because the story it tells is complex. For me, seeing that first Avatar, and part of what I enjoyed it was kind of like you put on your 3D glasses and you got a quality of 3D I'd never seen before in my life. And it was like I'm going on an amusement park ride that lasts 3 hours. Like, I didn't know anybody's name. You know, I mean, I knew like the actor names of a couple of people, and I could not help but remember Unobtainium because, I mean, come on.
Because everyone in the theater laughed when they said it. And like, because it was just like, it felt like, come on, what a crock. What the same thing happened in that Poseidon Adventure remake when they said Rogue Wave. Everybody in the office, everybody in the entire theater just giggled. They were just like, Rogue Wave, that's the stupidest thing ever. Like even though that's a real thing that people, they were just like, no.
Unobtainium really feels like a placeholder name that they're like, screw it, I'm too tired, it's getting late.
Yeah, we'll come up with something cool later. And he doesn't.
It does feel like that.
No. By the way, rewatching that first movie, I just look at all of the choices that like, I'm like, half of that movie could have been fixed in casting, I think. Because
really?
Giovanni Ribisi's not good for that role. You know who would have been amazing? Not Sam Worthington. That's the other dumb guy.
Wow, it's like Eddie Murphy. This movie was Sam Worthington.
Sam Worthington's in every role. Sam Rockwell is what I meant to say. They both have Sams.
Yeah, I agree. Better choice.
Sam Rockwell would have destroyed that role.
Sam Rockwell, though, but with Sam Rockwell, it's like everything that Sam Rockwell does, which is, and this is a testament to the man as an actor.
Yeah.
Every time he's in something, you want to see what that dude's doing. Yeah. And every time you're not on Sam Rockwell, you're like, I wonder what Sam Rockwell's doing right now. It's kind of the Iron Man 2 problem.
Yes.
Where how come I'm not seeing a lot more Sam Rockwell? How come we're seeing all of this garbage that I don't care about at all? I want to see what Sam Rockwell's character is doing.
That's why I can't watch reruns of The Dating Game, because I keep wanting to get the Sam Rockwell version instead of the real guy.
The Gong Show?
Whatever.
It's all the same thing to him.
Did it start on The Dating Game, though? Have you seen Confessions of a Dangerous Mind?
I have seen Confessions of a Dangerous Mind.
Because I thought it started on The Dating Game, and they would put people on dates in cities where Chuck Barris needed to go kill people because his first job in show business was a chaperone for the dates on The Dating Game. I
don't remember that.
Oh, man. If it's not true, I apologize, but I'm also proud of myself for getting that confused.
Because the Gong Show, the prizes would be an all expenses paid trip to East Berlin.
Yeah, okay. I thought that for some reason I'm conflating things. That's all.
Let's get back
to Avatar.
Yeah, like I watched television once in the 60s.
Let's settle that debate once and for all, kids.
So yes, so. When it came to Avatar, it was one of those moments like I had with Lord of the Rings, where I was like, this is one of the things I'm just never going to be into. And like, I liked it well enough. I don't outwardly hate it, but it's just not my jam. that first Avatar movie, and I'm guessing that you guys kind of are there as well, where it's
it's like for me, it's more like it's the guy that is everybody's buddy, but nobody's best friend. That's Avatar.
The thing with Avatar, with the first movie that I was really afraid of, and now the first one is written and directed by James Cameron solely, right? And I'm glad he got some help with this second film, because this last one, the first one, you can take any line in that and put it in a cheesy action movie trailer, and it makes sense. Every line. They're all there, save for specific Na'vi, like, non-translated words or whatever. Every single bit of that dialogue is the most cliched 80s bullcrap. It made me it made me mad at James Cameron's writing. It was so egregiously bad.
I mean, even at his best, my opinion of James Cameron's writing has always been he takes a paper thin story and makes it seem like it's more than it is, which is a skill to have.
Yes.
But I he needs, even at his best, it wouldn't hurt for him to have a little help on his writing, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And he also can, he's more of a big picture writer.
Yes.
Where the things that he is, that going from A to B makes real sense in his movies. He's very good with that. What he's not great at is interaction between human beings.
Yeah, honestly, while watching this
Yet
movie,
he insists on making love stories the centerpiece of so many of his.
It's true.
It's so crazy.
But watching this, like, to me, it felt like George Lucas. In as much as it's just like, this guy is so technical, he's got a really great eye for so many things, but when it comes down to like getting like actual performances out of people, they just don't come. They don't come in this movie. I mean, like, they're better in the second one. They're far better acting in the second one, and I think that is mostly because there are better words coming out of their mouth that are not solely written by James Cameron. But the acting is still just like, it's very stilted.
Do you think? Yeah. When you compare him to George Lucas, that's a good one, because George Lucas, a notoriously bad director. He's once again good big picture guy. Like, good at story, not great at writing, directing, or editing, but somehow,
I feel all of this movie, and I'm just like, man, if this had like a real slam bang, honest to God, great story in it, and it would be just unbelievable. But it's just like, it's not. So let's get to before we get to the movie itself, because you mentioned it, and I feel like it needs to be mentioned for this one, is how did you guys watch this? Because I think at the end of the day, this film will have more versions of it out in theaters than any other film in maybe history.
You talking about the second one?
Yeah, but with the second one, all the different formats.
Out of the 12 at my theater, out of the 12 screens, I do know that 10 of them were devoted to different ways to watch Avatar. It was crazy how many screens were devoted to Avatar for a small theater like that. But I watched it just regular. Like nothing special.
2D?
Oh, yeah, 2D. I'm done with 3D for a while.
Oh, wow. You didn't watch it in 3D?
No, I'm done with 3D for a while.
I mean, it's the one. Well, that's not true. It's one of two movies that I will watch in 3D.
Is the other one Avatar?
The other one is How to Train Your Dragon.
That is so good in 3D, man.
Yes.
Strangely, in my mind, I feel like that and Avatar came out pretty close to each other in time, and two of my favorites to watch. But at this point, I don't know, man. I just didn't feel motivated to watch it in 3D this time around.
Well, if you do see it in 3D, and my guess is, Sean, it was probably this case for you, because at least everywhere that I kind of look about, it seems to be that if you saw it in 3D, chances are you probably also saw it in high frame rate.
Yes.
Okay, because you would know if you saw.
Yes.
I saw one of the original, like, not original Hobbit movies, one of Peter Jackson's Hobbit movies when he was just introducing, like, he was a real big proponent of the 60 frames per second, I think.
Yeah.
And they would have scenes where it would kick in. Like, the whole movie wasn't at the faster frame rate, but certain action scenes that would kick in and just like throw my brain for a loop. Like it was like you're going from watching a movie to watching a really well-made soap opera scene or something back to the movie.
Well, this was the exact same way.
I didn't
Tim-
see it in 3D.
But it was done better. It was done better
Yes.
than the Hobbit one was, because the Hobbit one,
Yes.
you're right, it would kind of like speed up. It felt like a YouTube video that gets weirdly buffered and then has to
Yes.
catch back up and stuff. You didn't get that vibe this time. It was James Cameron has a standard, and it's high up there, but I don't like it overall, the high frame rate stuff. Like, there's some moments where it's like, oh, that's okay, that's interesting, but most of the time, no, thank you.
I like the high frame rate for like the CG stuff, because that really does, in my opinion, make it a little bit smoother, a little bit more physical. But yeah, if there's a way to do high frame rate CG over regular frame rate film, that'd be great.
With the thing
So did
is
you
when
see this
put-
in? Did you see this in 4DX?
Yes, so I saw this not only in 3D but 4DX. So 3 hours and 10 minutes of being jostled in my seat left and right, which I gotta say, I think I really needed in this movie, because I think if I had not had that, I would have, because there's some
sleep.
there's some very
See-
peaceful, serene, nice moments in this and stuff. And if I wasn't being shook the hell around, I might have
Here's
fallen
what I
asleep.
picture. After 3 hours of watching this movie in 4DX, I'm picturing you look like the organist in The Simpsons when Bart put Inagata Devita on the music stand.
Yeah.
She's dying there in the last little bit.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, so here's the thing: your butt kind of starts giving out, and your butt kind of starts sliding towards the front of the seat at the end of it, and your back starts kind of going like, oh, lower back was really starting to kind of hurt me at the end of it and everything. But it is I don't know that I'd suggest it, but it's a way to watch it. And I'll at least say this: I wrang the most out of the Avatar movie that I possibly could have, I believe. So like that was my goal, is I want to go in giving this 100%, because like I think you could listen to the show. I was not super hype on this movie. I wasn't,
I think
forward to
between
it.
the three of us, you were the one looking most forward to this
I
movie.
here's the thing. I always want to be surprised, and I said it before. James Cameron is the Tom Brady of movies. Like, you think he might be out, and sure as shooting, he will pull something out in the fourth quarter that just like blows your eyeballs back. And he's one of those dudes. You can't count him out. And like, while I think he's put together something of a very interesting technical aspect for this movie, and is leaps and bounds above story-wise for the first one, to which I almost think, let's pretend that first movie doesn't even really bloody exist. I mean, you almost don't even need it.
That's not true.
Almost.
I think you need it.
But I think, well, here's also some of the problem. I think that I think kind of, we'll get into it as things go on a little bit later, but like, I'll get into it at another point. Sorry. I don't want to get down that road just now.
Okay. I will say that I will say that it seems like people, when it comes to James Cameron, do kind of like forget some of the stuff that he's done, myself included in that, because I read a couple of poorly written articles that made it sound like his last two movies that he made were Titanic and Avatar. And, he has worked a little bit since then, right? I mean, I'm correct that he was the guy that did Alita Battle Angel.
Yeah, I mean, he's producing.
He produced it, yeah.
Okay, I thought he directed it. Okay, so
he
maybe
was going to Forever in a Day, and then
so maybe Avatar
over to
was the last
Rodriguez.
thing he directed.
Yeah.
I really thought he directed the Alita thing.
He
I'm
might
really out
have
of the loop.
done. He might have done some doc thing that. I
That
suppose
it feels like that second documentary where he's going into the Marianas Trench. That feels like it might have come after, but I might be wrong.
Yeah,
But you know what? I'll give them credit if they want to say, well, we were talking about narrative films. So
this
maybe
narrative
I'm
film
the one who has egg upon my face yet again.
his
Egg upon my face.
But yes, yet again, here we are.
It's weird because this movie's really long and
Yeah.
a lot happens, but I feel like we're starting to struggle to talk
Because
about stuff.
here's the thing: ultimately, in this movie, as in with the first Avatar, like and Sean, you said it beautifully. James Cameron has maybe I think it was Sean. I'll give credit to him because screw Bruce.
Whoa.
This I say that with love, but the
Once again,
the art of James Cameron saying nothing over a 3-hour period is kind of graceful. The amount of things that he doesn't say but yet says so many words that
Yes.
this movie is kind of astounding. We have 3 hours to get a message across. That's just okay. It's like, hey, be better about the environment. I'll tell you, it's
and he
nice.
sort of struggles to even stay on that track all the way through.
And it's fine. Listen, I'll take this. This felt like less of an after-school lesson than the first movie did. The first movie felt like it was preaching to me a lot more than this one. And I don't,
Oh,
entertain
okay.
me and throw in a lesson, but don't preach to me. That's what I.
That was definitely the biggest criticism that I recall it getting. But also, I don't know if it had more of it than this movie or what we would refer to as our different approach to entertainment since that first movie has come out, that we're just more used to it than we were then.
That's possible.
Yeah. Anyway, just something to throw out there.
Yeah, I mean, you might be right there, Bruce. This is one of those movies also where, Adam, you nailed it. That I can't stand. I can't stand Monkey Boy. I hate him.
Okay, so let's talk about Spider there.
Well, but hold on a second because I want to play a more fun game.
Oh boy, I'm up for it.
So, Adam, can I guess what your least favorite character in this movie is?
Oh, please.
Sigourney Weaver's kid.
Honestly, I thought I was really going to hate that character, and I was almost more intrigued of Sigourney Weaver's acting. Because, sometimes she would pop out, and then other times she would really kind of disappear into it. And I kind of dug it, and I was just like... And it also took me a minute to understand that was actually her.
I didn't even put it
first.
together. I didn't even put it together till the character was talking to Sigourney Weaver live. And I was like, oh, it's the same person. Oh, okay.
There were a couple of line deliveries. I think I'm with you. Once I caught on to that it was Sigourney Weaver. There were a couple of line deliveries that felt like Sigourney not really doing anything to disguise her voice.
Yeah,
you know what I
and,
mean?
but
get it
some
straight.
of the other kid stuff, I was surprised and didn't get on my nerves, and I thought the littlest one was cute,
Yeah, she is cute.
So all that worked, surprisingly worked for me.
Let
I
me
didn't really
guess.
hate any of the kids,
Yeah,
although they
go ahead
don't
and
have
brag.
different personalities.
Yeah, guess, Bruce. Guess his least favorite.
Jermaine Clement.
I question why he was there. I like the guy.
I know why he was there. I know why he was there.
He's buddies with them, I suppose.
Because
No,
he
no,
lives
no,
in
no,
New
no.
Zealand, and they
No.
filmed in New Zealand.
Well, and this is the real reason.
There's
why.
only 5 actors in New Zealand. Is that what I'm to understand?
This is the real reason why. Is that because Sam Worthington's American accent is so bad that they were like, let's get somebody whose American accent is even worse, and we can go, see, it could be worse.
They could have got what's his name, Gerard Butler, to do his cop accent. That's one it's bad, but I love it.
I didn't even get that Jermaine Clement was trying to do an American accent until maybe the third scene up.
Oh,
I was like,
wait a minute.
He's pretending he's American in this.
Oh, I didn't
As
realize
soon as he
that.
popped up, I said to my wife, we're watching the movie together, I said, that American guy looks just like Jermaine Clement.
So Adam, is that your
Alex?
least favorite character in this movie? Is Jermaine Clement's character?
I mean, I question why he was there, but I don't
But you don't outwardly hate him.
I don't
I thought
outwardly
the
hate him.
marine biologist telling the hunter not to hunt on his own ship would get under Adam's skin somehow.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know why his buddy, the gunner, I think I dislike him more.
Okay, because he's the one I thought you'd identify with, Adam.
Yeah, me
that guy,
too.
that guy's kind of. I did like how that gun reloaded, though. I thought that was
super
super sweet. I was like, "Whoa, never seen anything like that."
That was
before.
awesome. And I do like the fact that he reminds me of Tintin's buddy.
Oh, the drunk guy.
Yeah.
Who? I mean, I feel like I still. No, it's Spider. It's Spider. I hate Spider.
Is it really? We
Yeah.
both hate the same
I
person.
hate Spider.
I too hate Spider-Man.
What?
So I guess we can say, or let's discuss whether or not we can say that the Jungle Boy is not only an archetype, but an archetype that probably should go away unless you absolutely have to have it.
Agreed.
Because I'm trying to think of, even though they're not all technically Jungle Boys, I'm just thinking back the kid in
Jungle to
Matt-
Jungle.
the kid in the Road Warrior. Remember
Yeah.
that kid in the Road Warrior? He didn't hold up with time. At the time when I was a kid, I thought it was cool, but he doesn't
Yeah.
hold up with time. Also, like, I'm trying to think of other people that Jungle Boy here, Jungle Spider reminds me of. Like that weird, wasn't there like a weird Jungle Boy on Land of the Lost?
Yeah, he looks like he looks like a Land of the Lost extra, quite frankly.
But yeah, I do not understand what's going on with this. Why are you making this 24-year-old actor run around like he's 10? I don't get it. Get the boy
And
some
like it's the
pants.
most, yeah, exactly. Get the guy some pants for the love of everything. You're not a Navi. I get it. You're with these, and again, okay, all right. Let's unwrap this baby a little bit.
Do you guys know who Luke Perry's son is?
No.
Okay, his name is Jack Perry.
Okay,
And he's a professional wrestler who uses the ring name Jungle Boy. And I'm telling you, like when he's talking about, he says something how you can't pick who your father is. And my wife says, who's his father? Because, we didn't remember the first one. I told her it was Luke Perry, and she was believing me for just a minute. But I'm telling you, I thought that this might have been his son playing Jungle Boy too.
You know what the craziest part is Bruce's family's never going to know when he's lost it.
That is sad.
You
That
know
is
what
very
I'm saying?
sad.
Like, they're not going to know that, like, he's slipping away because they're
That
just
is
like,
really
that's
sad.
just what Dad does.
I'll be able to get away with it for a while.
I have a friend who watched after her grandmother, and her grandmother was in her 90s and just completely out of her mind. And the problem was that she still looked like she was in her like 50s or even 60s, like early 60s.
Mm.
Like she looked great for her age. And so she just came off as just absolutely insane instead of somebody who was 90 years old. And no one knew what to do with her. And I think that's where Bruce is headed.
Yeah, we're veering around the corner as soon as we can.
I'll enjoy it more than they will.
That's true.
How will I know? It'll be great.
It'll be a blast. But okay, so here's part of the thing that, like, I love Hollywood because they're the most hilarious people in the entire world. Because they will complain and bitch and moan about one thing and then deliver you something that is entirely opposite of what, most of them would probably end up claiming. James Cameron has made white people the center of all of this stuff.
Yes, again.
It's just it's quite unbelievable. So
Did you think it was
hold
even
on.
possible to make a movie that's mostly about aliens, a white savior story?
It still is. If you look back at the first one, like he's literally in the Jesus pose, like it's really like Matrix 3 level kind of bad.
Yeah.
Going through all of this stuff. So basically, at the end of the movie, all you have to do is wish and pray really hard, and you can be one of the natives. You're good. Like we can make them up, and you can just have a thing. And guess what? You're one of them now. They are accepted, and you are amongst their highest
Spider
people.
is the future. Spider is the future of their clan.
I've got to tell you guys, I am so thrilled with the way this is shaking out, because I was certain that I was just going to have to remain quiet throughout this entire episode, because I don't like Avatar itself. I'm like, it's fine. Like I don't hate it. I don't love it. I outwardly hate this movie. I hate Avatar 2. I hate it. I hate Monkey Boy. I hate the fact that status quo by the end of this movie is almost exactly the same as when we started.
Yeah, this is a Martez sisters of avatars.
It is. It really is.
Like I said, paper thin storytelling.
It's remarkable to me, and there are things that I thought were really cool. Like I love the fight sequence at the end of the movie. I think that's really great. Yep. I think I like that he builds out the world even more. That if you are an avatar in other parts of the world, then you're going to look different. I think that's cool too. But my God, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
Just think we get to see 3 more versions of the Na'vi before he's done with all these movies.
Yeah, it's just
Na'vi, that's what I meant to say.
Is that what we're doing in the next one? Then we're just going to another planet that's another thing, and
it's the fire planet. It'll be the way of fire, and they'll be orange skinned.
There'll be a fire thing, and then there'll be an ice thing.
I'm telling you, he's trying to do his own Star Wars here, because instead of every planet is its own thing, every group of Na'vi live in a sort of monolithic landscape, but it's all on Pandora, different places.
Wait till we get to the island that's just a city.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not too far off. I mean, I wouldn't put it past.
I was talking to my wife about this after we saw the movies. Just the two of us. Our kids, they're like, thanks, but no thanks. We
Wow.
Well, them kids are smart,
some of my
boy.
kids might not have even been alive when the first one came out. I don't know
Oh,
that any
that's
of them
true.
saw it in the theater and remember it, so they have no vested interest.
Taping on
But,
those 3D
we were
goggles to
coming
an
home-
infant's head.
And I was telling my wife how I thought, well, the next one is going to be fire, and she said, okay. So the first one was the Native Americans he had to save. The second one, the Pacific Islanders he had to save, which, you know, with my wife's background, that was a little close to home. So she
Sure.
said, what's next? And I think it's got to be Africa. We got to see him finally show us what he thinks a tribal African Na'vi looks like in the next movie.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
I mean, I don't know. Like, here's
Because, man, like I said, paper thin story. The Na'vi, say what you will about, is it a Plains Indian? Is it a more of an Eastern tribe? I'm not going to get into that argument. But I'll tell you that was definitely, he's filming in New Zealand, and those are definitely Maori, the
Yeah.
Maori. I apologize for not pronouncing it correctly, but the definitely Maori folk are
Yeah.
who the water Na'vi are. I mean, they're sticking their tongue out like they're doing a haka. They got the face tattoos like
yeah,
Mike
it's
Tyson.
like, yeah, we're not hiding the puck on this one.
Man, so good.
we're going to be more Moana than Moana could be.
Yeah,
Which is why Jermaine Clement is in this movie. Now it all makes sense.
Oh, now,
Shiny.
20th Century Fox, owned by Disney. I'm telling you, it all makes sense now.
Did you find yourself looking at your watch?
No, I
'cause
couldn't.
I didn't have a watch on, but boy, I wanted to. You know how like you're watching something on Netflix and occasionally you'll pause it to see how much longer you got?
Yeah.
I was trying hard to pause that movie screen a couple times.
I'll say this, like my jostling about, like it was the thing that saved me. I'll be 100%. Like it was
Yeah.
a 3-hour ride, and like this is the only other time. And I've seen like I've done the 4DX a handful. We'll call it maybe half a dozen times. This is the only one outside of that first Godzilla King of the Monsters one that I saw where at the end everybody clapped like it was a ride.
Huh.
But like that's because the other one was like it was a really good experience as far as
Or were
like
they
the
just
4DX.
happy they survived?
But that may have been part of it too, because it was a hell of an adventure going just all over the place and everything. But
How were the
involved.
people? How were the people in your theater? Were they like, yes, this is awesome? Were they like laughing at the funny parts? Were they clapping at the big parts, the action parts?
I think everybody was engaged, but like the 4DX wears on you.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, you know, you get into like once you're past hour 2, you're like, all right, here we go. Like you thank God when there's like some peaceful moments and stuff where you can like, you know, reach down onto the floor and pick up your popcorn and go like, okay, couple bites of this before I get, you know, thrown into outer
Jostled.
space again. So,
I like the idea of popcorn just flying everywhere during the big fight at the end.
dude, there's
I
some moments where like you are really holding on to stuff because they smash you around in it.
Yeah,
It's like,
they
but
do.
I wish there could be a seatbelt in this.
I can't remember which movie. I really wish I could remember which movie it was that I saw in 4DX, but it was something where I was like, well, I did that, never doing that again. And it certainly wasn't a 4-hour long movie.
I had
when
the
you
smell
include
of like fake outside and stuff in my nose
Really?
hairs because
Oh,
it
wow.
gives you like there's a
that
lot of like
mist.
fake and that's to me half of the stuff is like, bro, if you could like if do all that stuff silently and I didn't hear those things going off, it would help the illusion a little bit more. You know, but
I don't
when
think I've ever done 4DX.
when I can hear that you're pumping in some gas, like, I mean, I suppose it's good that I'm not dying, but at the same time too, like if all of a sudden I just smelled grass as opposed to going 3, 2, 1 grass smell.
Yeah.
Oh man,
It's a
I
little
think I've
much
done
sometimes.
is it called D-box where the seats move but they don't spray stuff at you?
Right,
I've done,
D-box is just movement.
yeah, that's all that I've ever done.
This is movement plus you're getting some water thrown at you. Some
Yep.
Plus a hooker slaps you in the face if you're into that sort of thing.
Well, they slap your wallet, that's for sure. You really feel like you've been abused if
Yes,
that's
I
the thing
bet.
that you're
it's
into.
It's only $27 for a matinee.
Yo, no, it was. Yeah, for like 2 tickets, it was like $55. No
Rough.
kidding.
Ouch.
And that was the matinee cheap price if when you're seeing
You
it
can go
at
to Carowinds for that.
10:40 in the morning, which is also a heck of a way to wake up, by the way.
Wish I'd been with you now.
Smash. All right. There's your, a little bit of whiplash, but that's good for you. That's what cinema's all about. The music in this is practically non-existent as far as I'm concerned. Just like the first movie, I was listening back to that soundtrack just going like, what do I remember about the soundtrack? Anything as far as music goes? And no, it's nothing. It's all just a bunch of just blech.
Just like lazy symphonic stuff.
I can't even tell. Like, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of like, no real
It's worse.
theme work or anything. It's just nothing.
It's worse than that, man. It's like that new age crap that you get like if you go to a day spa. Like
I got it now because I have I have one of those albums on my phone that'll kick in and play sometimes.
Man, if they played some straight up Enya in this, I might have liked it even more.
Enya would be way better than what they played.
Oh.
Yeah, they played the stuff like when they're trying to sell you crystals afterwards.
Also, I couldn't believe it that they're still using. Have either of you guys seen the Avatar sketch on Saturday Night Live?
I have not.
I feel like there was an old one, wasn't there?
This one is from just a few years ago, and it might even have been last year.
Oh.
And it's the guy from La La Land and what's his name?
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling. So the entire sketch is a pre-filmed bit, which is the only good stuff on Saturday Night Live these days, it seems.
Yeah.
It's a pre-filmed bit where his character is so angry with the people who made Avatar because the font is papyrus. And it makes him so mad. And it makes him crazy. And he's at his psychiatrist's office and she's like, is this all coming up now because they're making a sequel? And he's like, they're making a sequel?
I love it.
And I couldn't believe how tone deaf it is that they do nothing to change the font of this. It's all still in papyrus. Even though there is a very funny sketch on Saturday Night Live that you can see on YouTube I think it's called Papyrus, actually.
And there are a lot of great font designers that would be happy to help you out with something.
Oh,
original.
my Lord. Are you kidding me?
We're in a glory day of fonts, man.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable what you can get out there and that people just are making and saying, here, have at.
You know that the guy, according to an HBO documentary I watched, the guy who created 4chan really likes to make his own fonts. Like that's his hobby.
I like how you called it Chan. That's great.
Well, hold on. Let's hear what David also has to say. Avatar.
Avatar. Speaking of the avatars, one of the writers of this movie, Shane Salerno. So his people need to get on his IMDb to update it. Number one, your picture looks like it was taken in about 1997. Mwah, beautiful. But like in his little bio there, Shane Salerno is co-screenwriting of the forthcoming Avatar 2 2020 was when they were
nice.
Avatar 3 in 2021, Avatar 4 in 2024, and Avatar 5 in 2025.
Do you think they'll stick to that schedule?
I don't think so. I'm a wager a no on that one, but I want to wait to see what the Vegas odds are.
I missed a few movies along the way.
So
done Avatar without me, Ma.
Pushed back just a little bit. Hey, let me ask you this. Was it something in this movie that they made Kate Winslet hold her breath underwater for 7 minutes long? And if so, what in the world was it? Because I sure shooting didn't see it, and I don't think that we should try to kill this woman on account of anything that I saw in this film.
It was a practical joke. They're like, hey, Kate, we're doing this all CGI, but to do the right acting, you need to put your head in the tank of water for 7 minutes.
There was no giant long take or nothing, or just, I don't know.
Not to mention it's CGI. Like she didn't even have to be on the same continent, did she?
I don't think so. But she's in the pool. She's in a pool and everything, and it's like they couldn't CGI out some like a breathing apparatus. You need to make her hold her breath for 7 minutes. I think that's a little, especially when you're, listen, you're above the age of 40, you're gonna have a problem doing that. Instead
of CGI and Kate Winslet, how about you CGI a pool? And then she's just sitting in a room and it looks like she's in the pool.
Nah, listen, that's gonna, I don't know. It's just,
Can we also talk about something else, which is that the CGI in this movie, of course, is the best CGI in the world. Like, I mean, it's just
There's some really top-notch looking stuff. I mean, like,
it's really perfect.
frame
It's
stuff notwithstanding.
right down to the body hair on some of the people when you're up close to them. It's just like, wow,
Beautiful.
that's amazing. However, there is something very nightmarish about when you're seeing the Na'vi up close on their face and they smile and they have real people teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's give you a little first version of Sonic the Hedgehog flashback in a strange way.
A
And-
little bit.
And they're too nice. They're too nice for
You're too
these
nice for native people who maybe don't have toothbrushes. You know, like you're gonna lose some teeth along
And
the way.
not-
You get
not-
in
yeah,
fights.
it's
And
not
you don't
only-
have, you don't have bridges if you're living out in the wild.
It's not just that like they're kind of, you know, more pearlescent, if you will, but they're also
Oh.
very straight.
Yes.
Straight and
They're
clean. They're everything.
remarkably straight.
I'm
Yeah.
just like, my word. No, that's come on now.
I don't know, man. Maybe it's just
I know
Part
somebody's
of
out
the-
there
the
going, well, if
magic
these are
tree.
your complaints, then I guess the movie's pretty good. Shut up.
well, I'm just saying maybe it's the magic tree. It straightens their teeth. They plug their tail into it, their ponytail into it, and sends a jolt of electricity and their teeth straighten.
But hey, listen, not for nothing, but that is James Cameron's kind of resolve to just about anything that you need to be doing in this.
Yeah.
You plug yourself in like a USB cable to whatever the hell's around, be it a dragon thing, be it this tree
I gotta
over
tell
here,
ya,
another person.
As a guy who's ridden a few horses in my day, it would be a whole lot easier if you just plug into them and control their brain.
I'm
Dude,
over it.
like seriously, yeah. If you could just kind of like make them just
I
do
didn't
what
ride
you
them all
want.
at once. I only rode them one at a time. Sean.
I thought it was like a chuck wagon.
I'm a
Yeah, I
rotten
could
side
humble
saddle.
brag. I'm like a circus performer, you know, that's like standing atop 4 horses as it runs around the ring.
Can you do that thing when you whistle and the horse comes up and you can jump on him?
Yes.
The other thing that I was wondering about this movie is that when were either of you surprised in any way with the two shocking events that happened in this? One is learning that Spider is actually his kid. Were you surprised at all by that?
I wanted to die.
Surely not. In fact, I was so not surprised by it. I thought everybody else already knew, and I was just figuring it out.
and the other one is, were either of you surprised by the Boys in the Hood ending of this movie as well?
Wow, what a way to put that. I never made that connection, but now I'm surprised. I wasn't when I saw it.
The second that you start learning that it's the younger boy, he's all the trouble, you know that he's going to be the big hero, and that the older brother, who doesn't have a whole lot going on in this movie, is going to be
Yeah.
dead by the end.
Yeah. Oh man, I like, yeah, no surprise. But then if you tell me that I could have seen that as a ripoff of Boys in the Hood, that would have surprised me. I wish I was more familiar with Boys in the Hood when I saw this.
Here's the thing, though. Like, I mean, I'm glad that like we can kill a character. At least that makes me feel like there's some stakes involved in something.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the fact that you killed a child in this film, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also it's like,
But now,
oh,
again,
man,
you don't
paper
care about
thin
the kid
story?
because they haven't, you know.
yeah, and paper thin story, a trope for a story on this level is somebody has to die, and somebody that's close enough that you feel for the main character, but it can't be the main character necessarily. So still pretty, yeah, of course they had the guts to have somebody die, but that's also kind of a minimum requirement for something like
Yes.
this if you're trying to be
Yes.
taken seriously.
Yes.
Like I read a bunch of books called Writing Fiction for Dummies once upon a time, and they all say like you got to make sure you kill somebody.
There's more than one book called that.
Well, there was only one till I bought so many copies of it, and they said, well, we better write this guy another one because he's clearly not getting it.
We're gonna write an addendum.
I one time I let my buddy borrow my book Save the Cat, and I told him right ahead of time too. I was like, listen, this only works if you've already written a script. Like it helps you with your script that is already written, and he hadn't done that. And then he knew nothing about the author in the first place, and I was like, you need to look him up, because you just need to look him up. And so he hadn't read it yet, and he looked the guy up, and he was like, this guy wrote Blank Check the movie, and that's about it.
That is who you're taking your advice from.
And
So
I
much
said,
crap is like that.
and that's literally what I told them. I was like, look, just because a guy uses really bad lumber doesn't mean that he doesn't know how to make a house. It's just that the lumber he chooses to make that house with is all wrong.
Yeah, I love that analogy, man.
And that's kind of what it feels like with this movie.
I've thought about buying a copy of that book, Writing for Fun and Profit, and then they cross out the fun.
Yeah, but that's by the
Fantastic book.
Yeah, it's a great book.
I was going to cross out the profit part too, and then that would describe me just writing.
Just writing.
I don't enjoy it, and I don't get paid, but I keep doing it for some reason.
That's from the dude from the state who's made like $1 billion writing now.
Yeah.
But Stephen Lang, I thought he was he was a better actor this go around, but I just again I don't care. Every military person James Cameron writes is the same.
Yes.
They're all the same.
Yes.
Again, I will go back just because I want to punch again and because it's fun and accurate. Edie Falco is just atrocious.
She's the worst.
So bad. I hope it's just like they're buddies or something. You know, they're friendly.
Can you imagine getting the note? You're Edie Falco. You're getting the note. Listen, so you're going to be drinking coffee, but it's going to be with the robot hand, not your actual hand, which would make it 1,000 times easier to drink the coffee.
Yes,
that part bothered me so badly.
Oh my God, it's so maddening. There's a lot like
the rest of the movie was spot on, and then that just pulled me out.
But then
You're
again,
not wrong.
but think about this though, like in that same sort of vein, because you had to have a coffee cup that'll be able to do that kind of nonsense. At the same exact time, where are we getting all these, Na'vi-sized guns?
Mm.
No one talks
that's
about
for the
that.
avatars to use. Those are weren't those originally made for the avatars?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. It's just like they just seem to have a lot of abnormally large guns lying around.
There also wasn't a ton of avatars. Like there wasn't a lot
what?
of them in the first one.
But I mean, you're right. There wasn't a ton of avatars in the first one, but I guess I'm thinking in this one they brought a whole avatar squad back, even though they're not technically avatars; they're clones. But boy, we're really getting some tomato stuff there. We got to differentiate.
Boy.
He's trying to
My God.
it felt like he was really trying to write himself out of this pickle that he wrote himself into in this first movie. And was like, oh shucks, what do I do with this? And just kind of and he came up with enough of a way, and at least he had other people in on it, so you could point to them if things go bad.
I know that you're not a huge Stephen Lang fan, but I love Stephen Lang, and he was, to me, even though it is ridiculous what he's doing in the first Avatar movie, he is my favorite part of that first movie, and just the absolutely bonkers performance that he gives in that movie is just the best. It's just the best, and well, I'll get to it later, but to have him back in a way that isn't ridiculous, like Wonder Woman 2, bringing back Chris Pine.
Yeah.
Like this is a far better way to do that.
It wasn't horrible, but
I do wish the Wishmaster had shown up though, and he wished back.
Oh, the Jinn.
But I'm looking at this character, and I'm like, who, I'm trying to figure out who we could get that would have been, better. Because you could put anybody in that thing because it's another person that we haven't met before, and motion capture and all that nonsense.
Yeah.
Chris Cooper, I think, would have been amazing in this role. Just because somebody that would just have that kind of.
I don't believe him as like a butt kicking military guy. Like
I think of him as a guy who's past his prime a little too much for that now.
Again, we're looking at, this is mostly voice casting here, is because we're just putting another face on it at this point, because that obviously wasn't Stephen Lang.
And guys, I'll ask you this. Is there a tipping point to how many key characters can be CGI at which you should just make it a Pixar movie?
That's a good point, Bruce, because one of the things that I kept thinking about watching this movie is I'm literally looking at nothing. Like I thought that several times watching this movie.
It really bothered me that I feel like I'm watching entirely animated scenes in something that is framed as a live action film.
Yeah.
I don't know. People might say get over it, and maybe I should get over it, but it just bothers me. Like can't you do something with some real actors and some real acting, or else just go pure on voice? But the mocap stuff gets weird.
Well, I don't know. At least I will say this. I think the mocap stuff and everything is what really is giving us these great, amazing performances and stuff. And they have been even since the first Avatar. When you watch back that first one and how Zoe Saldana is just murdering that movie. She's like the only person who's doing an amazing job in that first movie. She has less to do in this one, unfortunately. But she's still really good. But like that acting with that, it's astounding of how much of a difference it truly makes in making you believe. And when you've got somebody that can obviously have the money to put behind all the CGI that then's going to be laid on top of that, like James Cameron does, you really get the best of the best. But it's so bizarre because when you, like you said, when you get a human on screen there, all of a sudden it all breaks down and goes funky. It just looks weird. It's like, oh, it's not really real. It's all fake.
It's one of those things. It's like the inverse of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like there you have cartoon cameos. Here it's almost like you have human cameos.
Yeah, that's true.
And it feels like nothing's built. Nothing was like, kind of made for this. And like, I'm
it's
curious.
a real episode 1 feeling. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you, when it comes to Stephen Lang's character, so he is now full-time Avatar person, right?
Yeah.
Would he be able to jump into one of them their tubes? And let's say there's a human being in a tube on Earth. Would he be able to jump his mentality into a person that doesn't have a person in it because it's already on the Avatar planet?
I don't have any idea how to answer that.
And frankly, I doubt James
the
Cameron
science
does
on
either.
this movie, and I'm a guy who can be pretty forgiving, but the science on this movie is really like, please don't pay too much attention.
Like the last movie and this one have just a lot of shut up science, kind of things where it's like, no, but none of this really makes any sense, and even like real story stuff too.
Why would you even use an avatar if you're now completely capable of creating clones that will follow your orders?
Yeah.
So I don't know, weird name for a movie that, we're going to make 5 of them, but we're ditching the avatars halfway.
Yeah, exactly. That's another one where you're just like, okay, you get another Star Wars where it's like, oh, you came up with all of these at one time, did you? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, Pops. Tell me another good story. My word.
You're killing it today, Portress.
So James Cameron, how old are we saying he is?
He's a
60s,
boomer.
70s?
He's 65, 70.
Yeah.
Okay, because, rich people tend to live for freaking ever. So he'll probably be around for a long time. But I'm going to ask sort of a macabre question. Let's just say something happened to James Cameron. Do they finish Avatar 3?
Well, I'll tell you right now that plan is already in place. His 2 assistants know exactly his wishes and his orders, and they're going to go through with it anyway, because the way that Cameron described it was he doesn't want to have what happened to him, what happened to Frank Herbert, the guy who wrote Dune.
What happened?
He wants to be a Robert Jordan and not a Frank Herbert.
Yes.
Not sure I'm not a literary guy.
Well, Robert Jordan had someone to carry on for him.
And gave them the plans in place long before he died.
And Frank Herbert wound up with a book that has a cover that's a little girl's face on a worm. So different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, and his son ended up taking over, right? But his son isn't.
Son is not a writer though.
Yeah.
But I think even James Cameron felt like before the movie came out weeks ago, he even I felt like he even realized that maybe this might not be the biggest thing in the world, and it kind of came to him, and they've been talking about obviously sequels and stuff. This leaves itself off just like the last movie, and pretty much the exact same framing where open eyeballs and cut. Then we'll be going into the next film.
But this is, it's not in. Is it in China yet?
I think it is,
because China's gonna love this movie.
I think it is, and should we talk box office, Adam?
We can. It's a little bit because we're on Sunday here.
Yeah, I feel like we're wrapping up the episode. So I would like to say, Sean, first day, Friday plus previews, I think it was over 100 million worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
So That's pretty good. The weird thing is I saw headlines by two different outlets released at about the same time, which one says Avatar ruling the box office. The other one said Avatar going to fall short of projections. So it's another one of those where it's like, well,
sounds like
yes.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson's got a
Well,
little.
When he made it, I mean, he gives an interview totally straight face and he says, you know, people say it has to be the biggest box office ever to break even, but I think if it could be as low as third and still break even. Like, that is honestly what he said with a straight face. So the projections must be huge. But the people saying it's underperforming, I don't think they know that the first Avatar only made 25 million in that same time period.
Yeah. Okay. So let me give you a worldwide box office mojo right now. First weekend for Avatar, $434 million.
Sure.
Way more than I made this weekend.
Just a touch. Listen, the movie's going to be big, and even I said, like, even if the movie was terrible, which the movie's not. For all rights, the movie is better than the first one is. It just
It's
is.
going to get repeat viewers.
Yeah, there'll be some people that'll repeat. I don't think they're going to repeat nearly as much as they did with the first Avatar film. I wonder what the second movie will do. I think it will have a bigger audience than I would have if you would have put me, down to bet. I would not have guessed that people would want to see the next one.
We got two big family-friendly movie weekends coming up too, so it's the right kind of movie.
Yeah,
to do well
and
for 3 weeks.
And I mean, you look at something like, like that last Jurassic World movie also broke $1 billion. Like, it's going to break $1 billion.
Yeah.
It is god awful. And so this one's going to
The only thing it may have a going against it's literally just the amount of times it can be screened, boys and girls, because it's just
that's
way
why
too
I'm
long.
kind of surprised that James Cameron didn't go about 95 to 100 minutes on it and get that extra 20 million this weekend.
Here's the thing, though. Like I said, the whole first hour of the movie is practically a previously on Avatar thing. They could take that entire thing out and make this just a 2-hour movie. It probably would have cooked along real well and like maybe move a couple of action set pieces around or something.
Just give everyone a 3-page pamphlet to read to get caught up as they
Yeah, like we should get like playbills and stuff that just be that like give us like at least 4 or 5 pages and all the bull crap that James Cameron makes up, which is again it's so hilarious about how like it's the idea of everything is like, listen, it's analogous to indigenous peoples and all of this kind of stuff, but yet you've made all of it up in your own way. You've made your own languages and everything. So like I don't know, just all of it seems very strange to me. But here's the thing, it's what James Cameron does. He brings this level at least of special effects filmmaking that there's just nobody else that does anything quite like that. Even if all the other stuff falls apart, even if all the dialogue is lame, which it's better this time than it was last time, but it's still not great. But boy, it still is something to look at. And that he certainly hasn't lost that step as far as filmmaking goes.
And for some reason, I feel like James Cameron is really into blue flesh because he doesn't put clothes on them.
No, he likes it. There's something weird about that. What's
He grew up with a Smurf fetish.
That's
well, you know how there's the people who think that Disney's Robin Hood started the whole that whole fetish of plushies,
like furries.
Yeah, sorry,
okay,
furries. And my guess is that this is the movie that 25 years from now we're gonna learn, like, oh yeah, the only way I could totally get off is if they're painted blue.
Because I could imagine these are going to be the first bare butts that some kids see, and it could just like imprint on their heads.
Yeah,
guys.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about something in the after show. But before we do all that, and rate this thing, we have to ask ourselves one very important question: is how this epic James Cameron film relates back 1-to-1 with Sylvester Stallone.
Why, thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement.
Ooh.
Before I get into that prepared statement, let me just say this. This is the first movie in a long time on this show where it was easy to find the Stallone connection, and I am grateful. I am grateful. Merry Christmas, Mr. Stallone. I hope this message finds you well. I imagine that you have a more difficult Christmas than most people. I imagine that when you're rich, no one is happy with their Christmas presents. That's the BMW you got me? Stephen Lang is an Avatar, playing the most angry man that's ever lived, and he worked on the 2002 movie I See You. Now, to me, Stephen Lang is the pinnacle of that guy is in this of any working actor. He's in Tombstone. And Mr. Stallone, if you think he's a piece of garbage in Avatar 2, you should check him out in Tombstone. It's like Kurt Russell said to him, hey, Steve, you mind making your character even more awful? Maybe make him beg for his life and then have him shoot a lady. Stephen Lang has been around forever, and he had one heck of a run in 1986 where he had the reoccurring role on the TV series Crime Story, and he was also in 1986 in the movies Band of the Hand and Manhunter, which if you're a movie nerd, Mr. Stallone, you already know are awesome. But honestly, in truth, I have no idea if Band of the Hand it still holds up. I'm going to guess it doesn't. I'm going to guess that it don't, because I don't remember the last time anyone talked about that movie ever. And there you have it. This week's Stallone Connection is Stephen Lang. Hope to hear from you soon. Your pal, Sweet Chauncey from the internet.
Well, here at Hero Movie Podcast, we have our own patented Robin rating system. If you want to go check that out, check it out at reddit.com/r/Hero Movie Pod. It's right there at the top of the screen. Bruce, where does Avatar: The Way of Water land on the Robin rating system for you?
You know, like I said before, it's everybody's buddy, nobody's best friend. It's Miller Lite. Nobody turns it down, but nobody says it's their favorite beer. It's like just skating by Tim Drake. You know, it's got enough visuals, it's got enough spectacle to it, it's got enough curiosity around it that I'm going to give it a low Tim Drake.
Sean?
I do not like this movie at all. I think that the stuff about them being a family, I don't buy any of it. I think that it is written by people who know what a family looks like because they've looked at a Sears catalog, but they don't actually know that the way that families actually work.
I didn't want to mention it, but at the same time too, I kind of wanted to, like, James Cameron's had a public life.
Oh my.
That's all I'm
Has he
saying.
ever?
That's all I'll say. I'm just saying.
You see the way that all these blue people get along almost all the time?
Yeah.
That's what family is like. We huddle around and hug each other and just hang out.
Clearly, you have no idea what it's like to be the father of a teenage daughter.
My word. So that gets me. There's characters in this movie that you don't need at all. I do love the spear fisherman getting his arm cut off, because hopefully, God, fingers crossed, I'm really hoping that one of the Avatar movies we're getting, one of these 3 other Avatar movies we're getting, is just Moby Dick, but with blue people. I'm really hoping for that.
I'm just hoping they grow a whole new harpoon guy from the hand.
I mean, at the same time, too, we basically had Jonah and the whale story in this, where it was just like, how many more biblical stories are we ripping off here, Jimmy?
You're not wrong. But, you know, for me, it is a very low Damian Wayne. Like the lowest Damian Wayne I've ever given something is what I'm giving this movie.
I concur. Low Damian Wayne as well. I can't say
I don't
that
want to be
hate
the guy who gave it the highest rating, so I'm changing.
Too late.
mine.
It's
Low
too late.
Damian
It's
Wayne.
too late. No. It's in stone.
Nope. We're
Oh
done.
crap! I gotta wait till the year end.
This thing that's just completely something we made up in the first place.
This
No.
arbitrary
That's set in
nonsense,
stone now. Forget it. It's in the
It
record.
has been
You
recorded.
can't change it. And the funny thing is normally we would allow him to change that grade on the year-end show, but we're not exactly doing it quite the way that we used to. So guess what? That's off the table now, Bruce. Sorry. You're in.
Well, I know that there'll be an asterisk when our friend who keeps track of these things documents this one.
Someone will do that someday, I'm sure. Yeah, I wish I liked it more, but I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would, which I felt like was a victory.
Hey, very good for you.
Yeah, I didn't walk out disgusted. It was just like, okay, it was a film. I enjoyed it for the theme park ride aspect of it. It does. It did feel like I paid half a day's park, wage to go and get on this one particular ride. But it was a hell of a decent 3-hour ride. And if I
At
paid,
least, yeah, if you think of paying it for it by the minute, it was a good choice.
I mean, yeah, honestly, for like $25 to be jostled around for 3.5 hours,
I know a guy who'll do it for half that.
yeah,
He's out of the park.
Patreon.com/ Wait a minute.
What?
Anywho, next
What
week
are we
we're
doing
going to be
next week,
doing
guys?
something crazy. But Bruce, in the meantime, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
You can go back to YouTube. I took a couple weeks off, had stuff going on in the personal life, but I'm back. I had a review go up. I'll have a few more reactions going up, and youtube.com/C/Bruce Leslie, or use my handle @AnimeDad on fine YouTubes everywhere.
Sean?
You can find our other podcast called 30 Questions, where each week we review some nerdy property and we ask 30 questions of that latest episode of that nerdy property. We are on the hiatus. We will be back in February with The Mandalorian Season 3.
Keep it on the hiatus. Next week, everybody, we're going to be doing something a little bit different for this here program. We're going to be talking about our top movies of the year, but not superhero films. No. We're going to be talking about our top 10 non-superhero movies that we've seen in 2022, and we want to hear from our Patreon supporters as well. So all those details will be at patreon.com/HMP for all of that. But yeah, a little something different for the kids, yeah?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I'm excited. Because a lot of people do go like, oh, obviously these aren't the only types of movies that you watch. And no, we're a varied group. We watch
Man,
some
the year
crazy
in came
stuff.
quick.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, amazingly so. So even within this next week, I'm probably going to cram a couple more in there just to be like, okay, let's see if I can find any like late entries that are going to be really good.
Cool.
But so we'll be doing all of that next week. That is it, everybody. Join us next week when we're talking our year-end review for Sweet Sean's and Kovacs from the internet. Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Porters. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.
Splish splash, I was taking a bath long about a Saturday night. Yeah, rubbed up, just relaxing in the tub, thinking everything was alright. Well, I stepped out the tub, put my feet on the floor, I wrapped the towel around me and I opened the door, and in a splish splash, I jumped back in the bath. Well, how was I to know there was a party going on? There was a splishing and a splash, reeling with the feeling, moving and a grooving, rocking and a rolling. Yeah! Bing bang, I saw the whole gang dancing on my living room rug. Yeah, flip flop, they were doing the bop. All the teens had the dancing bug. There was Lollipop with a Peggy Sue. Good golly, Miss Molly was even there too. Well, splish splash, I forgot about the bath. I went and put my dancing shoes on. Yeah, I was rolling and a strolling, reeling with the beat.